everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today I have the keys to the all-new 2023 Cadillac Escalade V. This model is finished off in radiant red with an MSRP just over $151,000. But let's start off with what powers this all-new V model. Up underneath the hood, you'll find the 6.2-liter supercharged V8. This is paired to the 10-speed automatic transmission, and it pumps out 682 horsepower around 6,000 RPM and 653 pound-feet of torque around 4,400 RPM. That power sent through the four-wheel drive system. This weighs in right around 6,300 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, 0 to 100 in 10.3 seconds. It has a top speed of 125 miles an hour, and it has a fuel capacity of 28.3 gallons. You'll expect to see around 11 miles per gallon in the city and 16 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 120.9 inches. Its overall length is 211.9. It has a width of 81.1, a height of 76.7, and its minimum ground clearance measures in at 8 inches. And as we move on to the exterior styling now for this all-new Escalade V, let's start off with the massive size for this grille. It's finished off in gloss black for the mesh as well as the surrounds. This also has the Cadillac badge front and center with a forward-facing camera to provide you that extra visibility. And you'll notice that the surround in the lower section actually works its way to just underneath the headlight housings, where of course this does have LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. And I love the vertical design for the turn signal and the DRL. Very iconic for a lot of the Cadillac models. There's even more gloss black in the lower section of the bumper. There's parking sensors. There's even a forward sensor, which is part of the adaptive cruise and all of that technology. Now there's a few lines coming down the hood, tying in nicely with that upper strip for the grille. And it just has a nice, luxurious presence to it. As we work our way to the side, this has a set of 22-inch wheels. Behind these front wheels are 6-piston Brembo calipers. The rotors measure in just over 16 inches. They're about 13 inches in the rear. This has power side steps as well, which help you to get in and out, of course. This even has body-colored side mirrors. Now the base of them is finished off in gloss black. This does have a camera as well as the integrated turn signal, and it has the full moonroof up top. Roof racks are finished off in gloss black, as well as all of the window trim just to tie it in nicely. Now this has a massive V badge in the lower section of that door, and there's even ambient lighting on the exterior of the door handles, which is a nice touch to see. And for the length of this Escalade, it has a nice side design to it. There's lines going just above the door handles, really nice contoured lines for the fender arches as well. And now that leads us to the rear, where this has a body-colored spoiler with the integrated third brake light. The wiper blade is also tucked up underneath just to provide the driver with better visibility out of that rear glass. Now the Cadillac badge is right in the middle, along with the backup camera. There's all the parking sensors. This has LED taillights. The taillight housing itself is very massive. It stretches from that spoiler all the way down to the V badge, or the Escalade badge on the other side. This even has a maximum towing capacity right around 8,200 pounds. Very, very healthy for this supercharged V8. There's some more gloss black in the lower diffuser, and then this has the quad tip dual exhaust with the dual modes, which we'll start up here in just a second. But let's work our way to the cargo area now. What I love about the Escalade is that you can actually open up that glass piece by pushing on this button over on the right side. That will pop open. So if you have some smaller items, you don't have to lift up the entire lift gate to put in those items, which is really cool to see. And then to open up the lift gate, I'll just push on that Cadillac badge and it will open up. Now you can also open up both of those using the key fob as needed, so you can double tap on both of these buttons. And then being a 3-row vehicle, there's actually a lot of space behind this third row. There's a speaker on one side. Over on this passenger side, there's a 3-prong outlet. You can even adjust all of these seats. So for the third row, if I push on these buttons, you can actually fold down that third row. You do have to have the second row kind of out of the way, of course. But to fix that, I can just double tap this button here. And the one on the left side will fold all the way down. Now you can see with everything folded down, there is a lot of space. Now the second row is manual adjusting to put back up, but if I hold on these buttons here, I can actually get that third row to come all the way back up. So if you're in a pinch and you need to fold all of the seats down, you can, but then of course from there you have to fold up the second row. So there's definitely a lot of space. There's also a little bit of space up underneath the floor. You could place the cargo net or some other smaller items like some of the jacks or tool kits. Now for the power lift gate, you can push the button up top and that will automatically close. Now, before we make our way to the interior, this also has remote start. So let's listen to that supercharged V8. So if I lock the vehicle and then double tap this button, it will come to life. And that definitely sounds really good. Now you can actually shut this off too. You do have to hold that button rather than double tapping it. And what I love about the Escalade is that you can actually unlock the back door handles just by pushing on the inside of that door handle. Now you can't actually lock it, which is interesting to see. But for this door panel, this has a very nice design with all the leather, the trim, all the brushed aluminum. It's even on that release handle. This even has a bunch of headsets for the screens in the back, which I'll show here soon. More of that leather along with that AKG audio sound system. And now working our way to the third row, all I need to do is pull on this seat on that latch there, and that will pop up. And at 5'10", I have plenty of space to make my way into the back. Now the second row actually moves forwards and backwards, so if you need a little bit more space, you can adjust that as needed. So at 5'10", I definitely have plenty of room. I even have a lot of headroom too. I have around 3 or 4 inches above my head. So honestly, I could be comfortable in the third row of this. Look at the Alcantara headliner as well, and just enjoy being in the third row. So it's very functional. You can put 3 people back here and have plenty of space. Now over on this passenger side, there's an armrest. You have a little bit of storage along with a USB-C. Same thing with over on this driver's side. And you can actually use this hidden button on the back side. So if you're in the third row and you need to get out, you can quickly push on that. It will get the seat into the position it's currently in right now. And that gives you the ample amount of room that you need in order to get out. Now, from here, I can close that seat so it's in the flat position, and then I can fold this all the way up, and now we have the second row. So it's currently all the way forwards at the moment, and so all I need to do is pull on this lever on the side, and we can slide this into its normal position, where now we have the captain's chairs for the second row, finished off in leather. These are actually heated too. Those controls are down below. There's the white piping. Definitely a very comfortable seat, and these do recline too just by pulling on that side lever. So we have the adjustable armrest. You can be very comfortable. You can watch whatever you'd like to on the center screen here and just enjoy being in the second row. Looking at the Alcantara headliner again, another speaker here, the dome lights, even the full moon roof. So you have a lot of amenities for your second row passengers. Right in the middle, you have the heated seat adjustments on both sides, along with all the climates right in the middle. So fan speed, temperature, where you'd like the air to go. Just underneath that, you can slide out 2 cup holders. So it's pretty cool that you can hide those if needed. And then there's a bunch of auxiliaries just underneath that, depending on what you need to charge. And then for these screens in the back, currently you can see YouTube pulled up at the moment. You can also go through Hulu and a few other apps, and then you can also program anything else that you'd like to add depending on what you need to put up for your second row passengers to enjoy that. So as we make our way to the front seats now, this door panel's finished off just like the rears. We have the addition of all of the window controls, side mirror adjustments. They are power folding too. This even has heated and ventilated seats, lock and unlock. There's a ton of storage space in the lower section of that door, along with 1 speaker. And then looking at these full leather seats, they even have speakers in the headrest, which is pretty cool. The V badge is right in the middle. There's all the piping. These are even massaging seats. So all of those controls are down on the side, along with the rest of the automatic adjustments. And with that power side step, it makes it very easy to enter and exit this truck. I'm gonna call it a truck because it is that big. And then looking at the steering wheel, it's completely covered in solid black leather. We have the graphics when you hop in for this massive screen. There's even some wood trim that you saw on the door panels, along with the V logo, some more of that chrome trim. Now over on this right side, there's tuning, along with volume and Bluetooth commands. On this left side is all the cruise and adaptive cruise control settings, along with the heated steering wheel. This even has steering wheel mounted paddle shifters as well, finished off in brushed aluminum. But let's fire this V back up. With my foot on the brake, that button's over on the right side, and we can bring this to life. And coming back to the gauge cluster, you can currently see the tach front and center along with miles per hour. On the right side is the audio and fuel gauge. On the left side is the engine temperature, along with the date and the time and the outside temperature. Now you can configure this screen by using this smaller screen over on the left side. Currently you can see trip 1 along with trip 2. There's even a blank page. Right in the middle, if I push on this, currently it says gauges, which is what you can see right now. Now, if I push underneath that, we can go to map, or you can bring up the map in full screen. So if you're using the navigation, you can clearly have that visible. Just underneath that is the augmented reality camera system. So you can pull that up where it's pretty cool to see. It gives you a little bit more visibility, especially if you're driving down the road. You can see all the cars that are in front of you, which is nice to see. Now the last one is night vision. Of course, this will only work at night. So I'll throw in a clip here of using this at nighttime. I think it's pretty cool, and especially the fact that it actually dims headlights coming at you. So if there's headlights coming at you that are super bright and you really are having trouble seeing, you can look down at the system, still see where you're going, and avoid the bright lights in your eyes. So pretty cool to see that. Now just next to that, we have the heads-up display controls that you can utilize as well, and then the night vision controls too, to adjust that screen. So it's pretty nice to have that. The center screen is not really too configurable aside from all these controls that you can go through, so just going through those settings. Also over on this left side, you can see more of that trim. There's one air vent, and we have different driving modes. So just by pushing on that, you'll see Tour, Sport. There's also Snow and Ice, Tow and Haul. My mode is a customizable setting. So you can basically configure that as you need to with all these different settings here. Pretty cool to see that. Now this also has an adaptive suspension, which you can raise and lower. And you'll see there are 4 different heights, just depending on the ground clearance that you need, as well as the aerodynamic performance. If you're in V mode, it actually lowers the car too. Now underneath that is the electronic parking brake, along with a trailer braking system. There's a dimmer switch for the gauges. There's a V badge just above that. And then as we work our way to the infotainment system right in the middle, you can actually see that this is almost one continuous screen. It measures right around 38 inches when you add everything up together. And then right in the middle, the screen actually curves a little bit towards the driver, and it has a lot of information to go through. So if I click on the home icon right now, you can see the split screen setup with audio, navigation, phone. If I swipe over, there's a lot more icons to go into, like the trailering, vehicle information. You have the rear climate adjustments. You can go into the settings, look at your camera, even my Cadillac. So you have a lot to go through. This model even has the interior ambient lighting. It's going to be hard to see, but it's up underneath the entire dash there, and then even in the doors too. So it's really neat to have that. It's a quick system to get through all of this. And then on this left side, there's shortcuts to the audio. We can pull up the map in full screen so that we can view it on this center infotainment system. You can easily hook up your phone to this. And then the last one is some vehicle information where you can go through all these stats, just depending on what you need to see. We also have where the power is being sent. You have the battery voltage. All this information is nicely laid out. You'll notice more of that trim going all the way to the passenger side, along with all the air vents. Now what's interesting is there's 2 air vents over on that passenger side with one right in the middle. So this is a little bit larger. That is going to be for your driver, with the additional one on that left side. Now underneath that, there's all the climate adjustments. So you can turn this system on and off. You have temperature, fan speed, you can sync these. There's a few other recircs. Everything is laid out well. I like how clean all the buttons are. There's nothing on the buttons. You can just see the screen being adjusted by pushing on those dials, which is pretty nice to have. Now on this right side, there's 2 cup holders, a little bit of storage, and some auxiliaries. You can close that up where you'll see more of this wood trim, which is nice to have. And then looking at the shifter, the release is on this left side. If I push the shifter forwards, that is actually for reverse. And there are so many different angles, just depending on what you need to see. We have all these shortcuts on the left side, with all these same settings basically. You even have the overhead, so you can see around the entire vehicle. I do wish that this was color specific, so I wish that was a red graphic for this model, but nonetheless, you still have all of the cameras. There's even a hitch view. We have the guidelines to be turned on and off. There's also a trailer camera system. Now, since we don't have a trailer, it won't activate, but if you did, you have some more camera angles, especially when you're towing, which is nice to see. Now in front of the shifter, there's a auto hold along with the lane keeping assist. Right in the middle is also V mode, so that is going to make everything louder as far as the exhaust goes, and a little bit better for the steering, suspension, as well as the brake feel. And then behind the shifter, we also have the volume dial, and there's some shortcuts for that center screen. So if I push on the navigation, can quickly get there, quickly get back to home, use that rotary dial to further go through that info. So it's nice to have that. Going back to the shifter, if I put it all the way back, that is of course for drive. If I pull on it one more time, that is for the manual setting. So you can use these paddle shifters. Park is right on the top. And you'll notice too that there's a little bit of storage space on both sides. So there's one on the driver's side and the passenger side. They each have another set of those headsets which is great to see. Now right in the middle, there's a little bit of storage where you could place your phone. And then for the center armrest, if I open this up, this is actually a cooler. So there's a few different settings where you can chill your drinks and have them ready to go. There's also some auxiliaries just in front of that. And then for the glove box, plenty of room for all of that information. And as I mentioned earlier, with the full moonroof, all of those adjustments are up in the middle. There's also the controls to be able to slide and tilt the sunroof. You can actually control the third row. You can fold them down and back up from the driver's seat. You can adjust the power liftgate. You can have it off. It can open up 3/4 of the way or all of the way. There's even the easy access when you enter and exit. There's some garage door buttons, even the dome lights too. And this model even has a camera on the top section just underneath the third brake light. So that is the camera for the rear view mirror. If you need a little bit more visibility, as you can tell right now, definitely makes it very helpful. As we set off now behind the wheel for this Cadillac Escalade V, I've been driving this around for a few days, and honestly, I am starting to love this more and more, simply because it's not only a massive SUV if you need that amount of space, but the performance that you can get from this Cadillac is pretty crazy to see. Now, I have it in the normal mode right now, but we have it in the manual setting too, and I'll give it a little bit of gas. And I mean, it's loud. You know, you can hear it under acceleration, but other than that, it's very quiet, and you could just drive this like a luxurious Cadillac, as the Escalade should. Now, if you push on the V button, it will let the car do the talking. I mean, that's just crazy to hear. I'll do some accelerations here again. It's crazy to hear that from a Cadillac Escalade. You would never think that this giant luxury SUV is, in a sense, a sleeper. This is the V model. We have a ton of horsepower. Now this weighs a good bit too, and so it doesn't feel like crazy fast, but I will say, like, it moves. No doubt about it, it gets up and moves. For the weight, it's pretty impressive to see that. But I love the fact that with this V model, you actually have a difference in how you want to drive this. You have so many different settings to dial this in how you'd like to for this sleeper SUV. Now I will say, in the few days that I've been driving this, still taking it around turns and things like that, you know, it's a massive vehicle. So this isn't a back roads type of vehicle where you're going to be going through the twisties crazy fast. This is more get up and move, tow with it, use that power for those situations from second gear. Like, what? Oh man, but you can adjust the steering too, so there's a few different settings in the steering feedback, which is nice to see. And as we switch over to the POV angle, let's talk about visibility real quick. This is a long vehicle, so you have a little bit of a blind spot there. I really haven't had any issues driving this the last couple of days. It's actually pretty easy to see all around. I like the amount of glass that there is, which is nice. It's a big vehicle, but it's actually pretty easy to drive. And then when you want to, man, does this thing rip from an Escalade. Like, it's crazy to hear this. And that's not even pedal to the floor. This thing sounds so good. I'm honestly pretty impressed with this. When I first saw the price tag, 150 grand for this Escalade, I thought that was a bit steep compared to some of the other three-row vehicles that are available. But when you factor in the size of this too, the third row can hold 3 people. There's not a whole lot of SUVs that are that big for the backseat passengers or the third row passengers, but this is a giant SUV, and the performance that you get out of it, I think I can see the price being justified for this, and just how comfortable it is to drive. This is so nice to be behind the wheel that I really don't have any complaints. I can't really pick apart anything. And as far as doing a 3-point turn here, the turning radius is so tight. It's so maneuverable in parking lot situations and the places that I've been in this, that like I said, I really don't have any complaints for this aside from the price tag. So if this is something that you want, you obviously know what you're getting into with this Escalade V. And someone buying this is hopefully using it to tow, but they also just want that performance out of their family style SUV. And this is a good blend between all of it for sure. I hope you guys can hear that, because it's not stopping. Let's do one last acceleration here from second. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this walk around review and test drive behind the wheel of this 2023 Cadillac Escalade V. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I made a few other videos on this model, so if you'd like to check those out, those are on our channel. So give the video a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on not only our daily videos, but the other content around this Cadillac Escalade V. And I will see you all in the next video.